Am I the a-hole for asking my brother to stop joking about the fact that he's seen my wife's vagina? That's a bit of a mouthful, to be honest. Anyways, 39 male here. I'm married to my high school sweetheart, and we have 3 little girls, 8, 6, and 3. When our youngest was born, we couldn't make it to the hospital on time. My older brother, 41 male, was driving us and luckily is a doctor, although not the kind who delivers babies. However, he pulled over and delivered my daughter on the side of the highway. I will always be grateful to him for helping keeping my wife calm and making sure both her and my daughter were safe. We actually named our youngest after him, Riley, because we were so appreciative that he was there to help. My brother has always had a bit of a crude sense of humor. After he helped my wife give birth, he started joking about the fact that he's one of the few men who's seen and touched his sister-in-law's vagina. Sometimes he adds that he's one of the few men who's seen his sister-in-law poop herself. This happened during the delivery. He brings up my wife's vagina anytime he's introducing her to someone new and at almost every family gathering. Once he even said my wife has a pretty vagina. Everyone else thinks it's funny, but it makes both me and my wife uncomfortable. It would be one thing if he made the joke once or twice, but this comes up almost every time we see him. I want to stress that this really is just his sense of humor, and I don't think he means it in a creepy way towards my wife, but it has the effect of making her uncomfortable. A few nights ago, we were at my parents' house for dinner. I was teasing my brother about something, and he said something along the lines of, "You're just jealous I've seen your wife's vagina." I told him the joke isn't funny and to knock it off because it's weird and makes me uncomfortable. The table got quiet and my brother looked pissed. Yesterday, I got a call from my brother's wife. She was furious. She said I was trying to humiliate my brother and hurt his reputation. I said I wasn't trying to do that, but I'm also tired of hearing him make crude jokes about my wife. She said that having to see my wife's vagina made him uncomfortable at the time, but he did it because he wanted her and our daughter to be safe, and I was now weaponizing his generous act against him. She says I owe him an apology, but I don't feel I did anything wrong. Maybe I could have told him in private instead of raising it in front of the whole family that I didn't like the joke. But other than that, I think it's reasonable to ask him to stop making the same weird joke over and over again. Was I being too sensitive? Am I the a-hole? Yeah, like he said, like maybe he could have done it in private. But other than that, it's just a bit weird to keep repeating that you've seen your sister-in-law's vagina and keep talking about how pretty her vagina looks. Like every time you meet, like, "Hi, this is my sister-in-law whose vagina I've seen, and yeah, it's really pretty." Like, it's just such a weird thing to say. And just because somebody doesn't mean to someone is not saying things to be creepy doesn't mean that it's not creepy. Like if someone told you, "Hey, please don't do this, I don't like it, it makes me uncomfortable," and you keep repeating it, and that's pretty much creepy. That's literally the definition of creepiness. I don't know. Am I the a-hole for telling my brother's fiance the truth about why our family doesn't like her? So I, 28 female, have a younger brother, Mike, 26 male, who got engaged to his girlfriend, Rachel, 25 female, about 6 months ago. From the outside, Rachel seems like a nice enough person. She's polite, friendly, and gets along with most people. But here's the thing, our entire family cannot stand her, and it's not for the reason you would think. It all started when she met our family for the first time. My parents have a pretty quirky sense of humor, and we all tease each other a lot. It's all in good fun, but Rachel took everything super seriously. She'd get offended at harmless jokes and would sulk whenever someone teased her, even in the lightest way. We thought maybe she just needed time to get used to us, but it only got worse. At every family gathering, she'd find a way to make everything about her. If someone talked about their job, she'd jump in with a story about how hard her work is. If we were sharing funny childhood stories, she'd cut in to talk about how tough her childhood was, even though we were just joking around. She even tried to change our traditional holiday plans because they didn't fit her vibe. The final straw came when she tried to improve my mom's cooking by adding her own spices to a dish at Thanksgiving. My mom's a great cook, and this did not go too well. Rachel acted like she was doing us a favor, but it was really just insulting. After months of this, Mike finally asked me why our family was being distant with Rachel. I was honest and told him that while we all try to like her, she's been stepping on everyone's toes since day one. I mentioned how she doesn't seem to respect our family's dynamic and how her behavior at family gathering has been pretty off-putting. Well, Mike told Rachel everything I said, and she lost it. She called me crying, saying I ruined her relationship with our family and that she doesn't feel welcome anymore. My brother is now furious with me, saying I should have just kept my mouth shut. No, he should have kept his mouth shut. He's the one who asked the questions and then went to go tell her. She didn't even know about it. What? Anyways, my parents are staying out of it, but they don't disagree with what I said. Now Rachel is demanding an apology, but I'm torn. I was trying to be honest with my brother, but now I feel like I've caused a huge rift. Am I the a-hole for telling my brother the truth about why our family doesn't like his fiancée? I mean, some people are just not that self-aware, honestly. It's just kind of sad. Like, I don't know. That's like my biggest worry when I get married, when I get married. If my family doesn't like me, I'm just gonna leave them alone, to be honest. Like, there's nothing in me that wants to make relationships work with people whom clearly were butting heads. And people think that just because you don't have to get into like huge fights, you don't have to, like argue all the time in order for two people's relationship not to work. Like, sometimes you have a different way of joking. I have a different way of joking. You have a different way of understanding things. So do I. Like, things like that people don't get along with, you just leave them alone. Like, obviously, sister-in-law is trying to fit in, but she's doing it in the worst way possible. Am I the a-hole for throwing a celebration party after learning I'm not the father to my ex-girlfriend's baby? So I, 28 male, have been getting a lot of shit from my family for this. I dated my girlfriend Emma, 28 female, for about 3 years. My family really loved her. Like, it was clear they wanted us to get married. And truth be told, I figured it was heading that way too. Well, things took a sudden turn when she unexpectedly announced she was pregnant. This came as a shock to me, given that we'd both used birth control. I asked her if she could terminate the baby, and she refused. When she broke the news to my family, they were ecstatic. My mom and dad were overjoyed that they'd be having a grandchild. My two sisters, 23 female and 32 female, were also going crazy over it. Basically, they had the opposite reaction to me. I began preparing to man up, but really didn't want to. Well, after I had come to terms with it, it was pretty much resigned to the situation. So I supported her. However, I couldn't help but feel weird given that we had both taken measures to prevent this. I had ended up snooping through her phone, and this is why you don't be looking through people's phones. And lo and behold, she had been cheating on me. I was devastated, but as sad as it sounds, kind of prepared for it. This wasn't the first time I'd been cheated on. I confronted her and she broke down in tears. The usual typical cheater routine. I'm honestly tired of it, so I demanded a paternity test. I knew it was possible to get them during pregnancy. They're just expensive. I expected her to put up resistance, but she surprisingly didn't. I don't know why, but I guess she really thought if she agreed to this, then it'd make me trust her more or something. I risked on her part, but I'm effing glad it went through. It came back as not mine. Her reaction to the news was to break down, but my reaction was pure bliss and relief. Since then, I've cut her off and just went on with my life. I often switch between being depressed as F by her cheating to just dancing around in happiness. So I recently decided to throw a bit of celebration. My parents were cool with me doing this at their place. My place is too small to throw a decent get-together. So I invited a bunch of my buddies, 6-7 of us, to celebrate. We had pizza, balloons, drinks, etc. It looked like a birthday party. My buddies even got me to get me a cake which says, "You're not the father," as a joke. We all celebrated. Well, my sisters are also staying over at my parents' place for a while, and when they came back, they asked what was going on. I told them it's a celebration for me finding out I'm not the father. They already knew I had learned I wasn't, but the response after the party was to say that my celebration was trashy and gross. I don't understand why they're coming at me like this. Am I the a-hole over this? This is what I'm talking about. This is the type of in-laws I need. Like, always back me up no matter what my wrongs are. But this is actually sad. Which, I mean, he didn't want to have a baby with her. And he was sad that, he didn't want to be a father. So this is honestly the best case scenario for him. So now he could just not be a father. Because the other case would be if he abandoned his baby, which, would make him a deadbeat and all. But I don't understand why he's sad. I mean, cheating is sad, but at the end of the day, you didn't want to be a dad. So now you're not a dad. So, it worked out at the end.